Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It is February 16th, and welcome to One Nation with Cooper Balitsos. Right now, we have a developing story out of Rhode Island. 2 people dead after a mass shooting at an ice rink in Rhode Island. We'll be talking about that, but we'll also be talking about our main story today. Nancy Guthrie, where is she, and what the sheriff and the FBI have just said. We also are going to be talking about billionaires and this new wealth tax in California and who could win the midterms. All coming up on this hour or this 30 minutes of One Nation with Cooper Balitsos. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, 5 o'clock here in Tennessee. It is February 16th, President's Day, and happy President's Day to all. Welcome to One Nation with Cooper Balitsos. We'll be talking about the disappearance of Savannah Guthrie. We'll also talk about this breaking news alert that we're going to get to or the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, and this breaking news alert right now out of Rhode Island. Right now in Pocknock, Rhode Island, we have 1 civilian dead and also the suspect dead in a mass shooting at a hockey arena. Agents from the Bureau of Tobacco, Firearms, and Alcohol are there too. Also, local authorities are there, and the FBI is on the way. But right now, we'll get to those are developments out of Pocknock, Rhode Island. But now, we are going to talk about the disappearance or abduction of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old woman, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, Today's Show co-anchor with Greg Melvin. She's also the chief legal correspondent from NBC, and she is the host of the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Day Parade and the Rockefeller Christmas tree lighting. Now, Nancy Guthrie, she was abducted or kidnapped from her home on February 1st, 2026. Now, we'll talk about Nancy Guthrie's background in just a minute, but the sheriff has just said that they have eliminated the 3 kids of the disappearance or abduction of Nancy Guthrie. He has eliminated them from the list, so they are not included in that list anymore. So they're not suspects anymore. So Nancy Guthrie was abducted from her home in Tucson, Arizona on February 1st, 2026. Now, right now, she's been missing for 16 days. Pima County Sheriff's Office, FBI, and Customs and Border Patrol have investigated this for the last 16 days. Now, the sheriff, I'm just going to say, the sheriff has said that he does not want the FBI in this investigation. He doesn't want to give them evidence, doesn't want to give anything. He wants all the glory for himself. Now, since the FBI has taken in, just days after Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, major progress has pretty much happened with detaining 1 person, getting information, and then releasing. And then on last Friday, 3 people were detained at a house 2 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood, and then 1 was detained at a Culver's parking lot in Tucson. And the sheriff of Pima County Sheriff's Office just wants all the glory for himself. Now, you might think that it's wrong if you're watching this right now, but that's not what I think. I think that. So, but right now, there's been letters that have been sent to TMZ in Los Angeles, and also 2 local stations in Tucson metropolitan area. Now, Nancy Guthrie, she was born on January 27th in Fort Wright, Kentucky. She moved to Tucson with her husband Charles Guthrie, and then he later died in 1988 and has been living alone since he died. She's the mother of Annie Guthrie, a well-known poet, author, and jewelry maker in Tucson. She's also the mother of Cameron Guthrie. She's also, yes, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, well-known TV anchor in New York. And like I've said, she was taken from her home, and she was taken from her home, and there's been letters that have been sent to television stations in Tucson and California asking for ransom from thousands of dollars to millions of dollars. So right now, we know that there's been key pieces of evidence. We know that there was DNA found in Nancy Guthrie's home that's not hers, potentially the suspect. And there's been more DNA that has been found from the blood that was on her doorstep, and more DNA. And they are trying to get that to the lab. So that's all we have right now, but when we come back, we'll talk about this a little bit more in the timeline. And right now, we are about to go to break. I'm Cooper Balitsos. We'll be right back with One Nation with Cooper Balitsos. The One Nation with Cooper Balitsos. So right now, the timeline of this disappearance goes back to Saturday, January 27th. Now, at 5:32 p.m., Nancy Guthrie took a Uber to her daughter Annie's house for dinner. Now, at 9:48, Guthrie was dropped off by her son-in-law, Annie's husband. And at 9:50, Guthrie closes the garage door. And then Annie's husband drives off at that time. Now, fast forward into Sunday, February 1st at 1:47. A doorbell camera at Guthrie's home is disconnected by a masked and gloved individual. And by that time, at 2:12 a.m., if you have seen the footage that came out on February 10th by the FBI that released it, a suspect was trying to block the Nest camera on Nancy Guthrie's porch or front door camera. And at 2:28, Guthrie's pacemaker app is disconnected from her phone. Now, a church girl, now around 11 o'clock, Guthrie's family was notified that she did not come to church from a church goer. And that then at 11:56, relatives will arrive at Guthrie's home and discover that she is missing. And then around that time, they call 911. And at 12:15 p.m., deputies from Pima County Sheriff's Office arrive. So that is right now what we have. Now, if you have seen the footage that was released by the FBI, a very masked individual with a gun, holster, gloved, and masked. He was found there. He was on the door. He was on the porch where Nancy Guthrie's door, trying to block a Nest camera. And then on February 10th, the same day the footage was released, a person was detained just 15 miles from the border in Arizona in Rito, Rica. Then by the morning of February 11th, he was released. Then we go to February, another detained and released, where from 2 miles from Guthrie's home, there was three people that were detained in the house, and then one was detained in a nearby store near that home, 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house. And right now, she is still missing. We do not know any leads right now. We don't have any leads. We just know that she is missing. There's been key pieces of evidence from a glove that was found just doors or houses from, and then there was a backpack and a gun holster that the suspect had and where he later bought at a Walmart in Tucson. And then there was blood on the front porch of Nancy Guthrie's home. So, like I said, they have DNA samples in a lab in Florida that they're trying to find. And that pretty much is what we know. And right now, prayers for the Guthrie family and the hope of her and find her. Now, my opinion of all this is that this person, possibly multiple people, in a email or a ransom letter that was sent to TMZ and to other local stations, multiple people I think are in this. Now, Nancy Guthrie, she could be deceased somewhere, and the multiple individuals are probably in Mexico or in Canada or somewhere across the world away from Tucson. Now, if they keep sending ransom letters and letters to Tucson stations and TMZ, then I believe they are still in Tucson or in the West. Somewhere between California and Tucson. They are. Now, Nancy Guthrie could be alive. Many people think she's dead. Now, right now, we have that many people, yes, think she is dead. Now, her medicine, on February 1st, when the sheriff did say that she needs her medicine in 24 hours. It's been 16 days since she's had her medicine. And this is life-saving medicine for her that she has to take. So, the chances of her survival, I'm not saying this, but statistically, her chances of survival without this medicine is very high. So, we have that. But when we come back, right after the break, we'll talk more about maybe this case, but we'll talk about other developing news stories out of the West and the United States. I'm Cooper Balitsos. We'll be back right after this break. Good evening. Good evening, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen. So I was just closing this on Wednesday morning on the morning show of Cooper Balitsos. If you get up in the morning around my time, then watch the morning show of Cooper Balitsos, always airing at 6 a.m. some days. So, if you did not know, California, Gavin Newsom has proposed a tax, and the tax is already signed and ready. It's called the wealth tax. So for billionaires there's over 200 billionaires in California. Now, billionaires, some of the richest in the world, some of the not so richest in the world of billionaires. But this law or this tax would be a 5% stake of all these billionaires' money. So, right now, many billionaires have some left, and what has really gotten this national attention is Mark Zuckerberg, one of the richest individuals in the world, founder and CEO and chairman of Meta, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, and what else? He left and bought a $200 million mansion in Indian Creek, Florida. And this little area or subdivision is where billionaires, millionaires, famous people like President Trump's daughter and her husband live. Also, many other billionaires and, many other business people and very wealthy individuals live in this area or subdivision in Florida. It's heavily gated and all that. Now, California has some of the highest taxes has the highest taxes in America. And Gavin Newsom, for the past 4 years, has had a decreasing or has made more taxes and has had a more decreasing population. Many people have moved, and businesses have moved to Texas, Florida, and Tennessee, here in my state. Many businesses like Chevron, in 125 years they have been open and have been working in California, they moved to Texas. Some very famous burger joints, like In-N-Out Burger, is moving their eastern headquarters to Tennessee. The CEO of In-N-Out Burger, she left California to move to Tennessee. So, we have a very big, I would say, mass exodus out of California to states like Texas, Florida, Tennessee, and other states. California, I'm just going to tell you, I'm just going to tell everybody. California is a beautiful state, beautiful. Sunny beaches, warm weather, really just a wonderful state to live in if you want warm beaches. But the taxes, the crime, and pretty much everything else, the quality of life, the natural disasters that take place in that state every year. And let me tell you something, I said this on Friday, but I want to get everybody's understanding. California in the past, and this is a very big example, they waste money. They've wasted money on the largest dam removal. Dam as in Hoover Dam, all that like that. But they wasted money on a dam removal, one of the costliest in the country's history, probably in the country's history. They spent hundreds of billions of dollars in this rail project, a high-speed rail project that goes from San Francisco to Los Angeles. Now, Florida built this rail project. It's called Brightline. And it's from Miami to Orlando, and they're building actually more of this to connect all around Florida. And it took them $3 billion in 4 years to make. And they had to go through population and this train goes all the way up through the Miami metropolitan area, and that's not easy to tear down stuff, reshift roads, but they got it done in 4 years. California, for the past 12 years, has been spending billions of dollars on this rail project that was only supposed to take $15 billion. But you want to guess? Guess, people. 125 billion. Billion with a B dollars. That's pretty much half the money that Mark Zuckerberg has. And let me tell you one thing. They aren't even 25% done. They don't even have a percentage, even an area of the track done. That's a little bit of a waste of money. And they're getting billions of dollars, and the federal government is giving them billions of dollars just to put on this rail project that's not getting anywhere. But we can't forget, California is hosting the 2028 Olympics. Now, yes, that's probably the biggest sports event in any world, maybe behind the FIFA Cup, the FIFA World Cup. Oh, and wait. They're also hosting the FIFA World Cup this year. So, these are very big projects that California, or these are very big sport events that California, where millions of people all over the world, athletes, presidents, dignitaries, representatives from every country comes for these games in 2028. And I would be very worried. Does California have the infrastructure, or how would I say? Does California have the pretty much the infrastructure to handle this. Does LA have the infrastructure? Now, LA, second most populated city in America. Yes, they do. But they have probably great infrastructure. But California roads are the worst in the country. The infrastructure in California is worse. Now, I'm not talking, LA might have great infrastructure. I have some of the best in the country. But are they ready to handle millions and millions of people? Through airports, subways, roads, trains, all throughout the LA metropolitan area? I don't know. But I saw a video that they're spending $50 billion on this infrastructure before the Olympics. And this is for airports, subways. They're building a whole new subway map, whole new subway system in LA. And they're not even halfway through, and we're only 2 years away from this, from these games. This is the talk of money that California's spending on, just wasting it. Where's all the money going to the people who lost, where's all the money going to the people who lost their homes? Over, I would say 16,000 homes in the Wikipedia app said that burnt down in 2025 in the LA fires. Where was all that money? Where's all that money going to? And they haven't even gotten 100 homes built. I don't even think they've gotten 50 homes built in the videos I have seen from LA. So where's all this money going? I'm not saying it's going into Gavin Newsom's pocket or Karen Bass's pocket. I'm saying it's like throwing money into a fire pit. And I would say the money is pretty much being wasted. California has the largest GDP in America. They waste money every year. They drive out businesses. People and residents of a state do not want the largest government debt, do not want horrible infrastructure, don't want projects to just be half complete, or not even complete, that have been working on for 12 years. They don't want mayors to sit around while their cities burn and do nothing. So I ask myself, I really do ask myself, what is going to happen in the future of California? I really do ask myself, with the highest taxes, the poorest infrastructure in America, I know what's going to happen. It's like the stock market. California is just going down, 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 until they hit rock bottom one day, and then they don't have enough money to dig them out. So that's my opinion on California. But we'll also be talking about, when we come back, this developing story out of Rhode Island, but we'll also be talking about who might win the 2026 midterms. And California's a big part of this. And I'm going to talk about that when we come back right after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Cooper Balitsos, and you're in One Nation with Cooper Balitsos. So right now, we're only months away from midterms. Second biggest thing behind the presidential election. Now, does President Trump want to keep his agenda going and his bills getting passed for the next 2 years or 3 years? Then Republicans, and I'm not even a Republican, but I'm just saying, Republicans need to step up. Now, in a lot of these states, if you were watching last year, the Tennessee election. Now, this election was just a special election for Matt Vanapps and Afton Bank after Mark Green resigned from Congress. Now, Matt Vanapps won in a very big margin and support from the Republican Party in Middle Tennessee, but had less votes as a Republican than President Trump had in that district back in 2024. Now, President Trump has pretty much made it clear that that he needs Republicans to step up and win the midterms. Now, right now, Democrats have a 60% to win the House. Now, the Republicans only control it by a few seats. They have a good 60% to control it next year. Now, the Senate, that's a whole different. Republicans, they're going to control it. They have a really good chance of controlling the Senate. And there's multiple seats this year that will pretty much flip in the Senate, possibly in Wisconsin, and other states that have turned red and have more Republican voters speaking out, and are getting more Republican voters. So, but right now, the biggest thing that the Republicans need to hold right now is the House. They're only holding it by a few seats. And not all Republicans are loyal. There's some Republicans that are not loyal and don't want to pass these bills that President Trump wants. There's some Republicans, like Mark Green, that have resigned. Marjorie Taylor Greene has resigned. And the Republicans need to keep the House. Just saying, I'm not even a Republican. But they need to keep the House because, trust me, President Trump, he wants his agenda getting through. And he doesn't want, pretty much, a larger percentage of Democrat seats and the Democrats taking over the House. Now, back in 2022, the Republicans, they swarmed the House. Not much of the Senate, but they swarmed the House, taking almost 20 seats. So, but right now, like I said before break, California is getting more, California is a big part of this. They're redistricting their seats, so they're probably going to have more, they're redistricting their Congress lines, but they are also probably going to have more Democrat seats than Republican seats in California next year or this election. And many states like Utah, Texas are doing it too. Those are Republican states, California. But California has the largest population, largest GDP, like I said before break. They're going to try to get as much Democrat seats for the House. They're going to try to redistrict it very well. So there's that. There's other things that California is trying to do. Now, in 2024, from 2020 to 2024, pretty much, if you look on a map, California took a very red turn. Lots of states took a very red turn. States that did win for the Democrat nominee, Kamala Harris, but took a very different, took a very big different turn. There's more Republican voters that voted than the previous election in 2020, where President Joe Biden won those states. So, California and other states, they're going to try to redistrict all of this and get as much Democrat seats. Now, when we come back up, we'll talk about the presidents that have made a sacrifice on our country, because today is President's Day, and we'll be talking about our 3 presidents from Tennessee. I'm Cooper Balitsos. We'll be right back here on One Nation with Cooper Balitsos. I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. Happy President's Day here. It's February 16th, and happy President's Day. Now, our three presidents from the state of Tennessee, and we'll also talk about other presidents that have had a lasting impact here in the United States. But we started off with President Andrew Jackson. One of the only presidents, and probably the only president, that kept the United States out of debt. Probably the most debt-free president in America. He didn't want a national bank, and he vetoed more laws. He vetoed more laws than he approved them, but so he wouldn't put us in debt. He also created the spoil system where he put his loyal supporters as his government officials. He also created the Indian Removal Act that moved Indians west of the Mississippi River. He also created the Trail of Tears. That was a devastating thing for the Indians back in the day in the 1800s. Now, he's on the $20 bill. Now we go to James K. Polk. He was famous for, his agenda wanted to connect the U.S. on both coasts, the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. And he did that with the Oregon Purchase. He also was famous for the American and Mexican War, where the United States went to war with Mexico. And then we go to Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson was the 17th president from the state of Tennessee. He was the very first president to get impeached. He's also the military governor of Tennessee during the Civil War. And then he became the vice president. And then when Lincoln got shot, he became the 17th president of the United States. Now we go to presidents that have made a lasting impact. We go to first, George Washington, our first president, our founding father, who created a lasting impact, and it's on a $1 bill. Now, he made the government very strengthened and created a government, created almost actually DC using ropes and other materials. Now we go to Thomas Jefferson, the writer of the Declaration of Independence. He sent Lewis and Clark to go find land west of the Mississippi. Then we go to Theodore Roosevelt. He created all the national parks. He created the national parks here in the United States. Abraham Lincoln abolished slavery and created national holidays here in the United States. And then we go to JFK, the man who put us on the moon, the man that everybody loved and missed, the man that has done so much for this country. And those were the presidents that created a lasting impact on our country. And we thank for their service, for their pretty much service for the American people. So happy President's Day, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you tomorrow for the morning show with Cooper Balitsos, starting at 6 a.m. And we'll be back here tomorrow. I'm Cooper Balitsos. Thank you for watching One Nation with Cooper Balitsos.